Hey, it's Ryan from All Forest Foods. So the other day I wrote a blog post addressing Jing because I hear a lot of people talk about Jing, but it seems like people are not really fully understanding what Jing is and that they're confusing it with this other concept in classical Chinese medicine. So I wrote this blog post and I was expecting to get maybe some negative feedback about it, but it's been positive so far. So when people talk about Jing, they're usually talking about this kind of like a battery pack inside of us that's going to give us vitality and longevity, and that when we do things that are bad for the Jing, it's going to automatically kind of decrease our vitality, and then if we do things for our Jing that are beneficial, it's going to increase our vitality. But what people are actually describing there is your yuan qi. Now there's several different types of qi in the body, but the yuan qi is kind of your deepest, most concentrated form of qi, and it resides in the kidney in kind of Chinese medical terms. In Western anatomical terms, it's going to be closer to the adrenal glands, which are the glands that sit on top of our Western anatomical kidney. And that's the yuan qi. There are two different types of yuan qi, like people talk about how there's two different types of Jing. There's the yuan qi that we inherit from our parents at birth, that's our prenatal yuan qi. Then there's our postnatal yuan qi, and that's how we affect our yuan qi throughout life. So if we can do anything that adds qi back in instead of just spending it all, we're able to build up our postnatal yuan qi. And that's what we're going to be, that's our kind of our checking account, when the prenatal yuan qi is our savings account. So the better we are at managing our money and the more that we bring in, we can not only fill up our checking account, our postnatal yuan qi, but we can fill up our savings account, which is going to be our prenatal yuan qi. And this really gives us vitality and longevity throughout our lives. So when people are talking about Jing, and if you've heard this concept of Jing, it's more closely resembling what yuan qi is. And that's Y-U-A-N Q-I, yuan, qi, it's two separate words. Now Jing is a little bit more mysterious, and I think partly that's because it doesn't have any close, exact translations into English. Now when you translate Jing from the classics into English, we get this word essence, but essence doesn't really tell us that much. Your Jing is more of your blueprint that you're going to live your life out with. Some people describe it as a seed of the essence of who you really are. So it's not really that type of vitality that people are thinking about when they talk about Jing, but it's more of the plan that's going to unfold with you as you live out your life. So it's a little bit more mysterious, and it's not something that we talk a lot about in Western society. Now you might be thinking, oh, that kind of sounds like fate, and I don't believe in fate because I believe that we kind of have our own destiny. And it's not fate, it's different than fate. It's not fate. It's who you are personally. It's your personal experience with the world. It's your own individuality. Now we're born with a certain amount of Jing. We also have postnatal Jing, which we can add to. But that original amount of Jing that we're born with, it said that it gives us 100 years of life. And within that 100 years of life, that should be long enough for us to carry out our Jing. So the Jing isn't so much a battery pack in that sense, where as long as we have it, it's going to propel us to 100 years old, but it's giving us enough time so that we can discover who we are and then bring that and offer it to the world. Now, like yuan qi, we have that pre and postnatal Jing also, and it's going to line up with the yuan qi. So with the yuan qi, I was talking about savings accounts and checking accounts, but let's talk about it in terms of pails, where you have one pail that is your postnatal yuan qi that you're using for your daily qi needs. And then you have one pail that is your prenatal yuan qi, and that's your deep reserve of yuan qi. Now if you have enough qi coming in and filling up that pail full of your postnatal yuan qi, as it gets full, it's going to spill into your prenatal yuan qi and fill that pail up. Now that's your savings account of your energy, your vitality. Now, you can just put the pails of Jing right next to that. So as you conserve your qi and it fills up your postnatal and then it fills up your prenatal, then once that one's full, that's when you start filling up your Jing. and you can restore your Jing that way. So people like to think about Jing in terms of a spring. So when you're born, that spring is fully compressed and you have lots of potential there, and that potential is going to bring you to the full climax of your life. But we live in a culture that really uses too much Jing. We burn through our Jing so that that spring gets prematurely sprung. So as we collect Qi and we conserve Qi and it fills up the pails and it fills up the pails, we can start to actually, as we fill up that pail of Jing, we can compress that spring and regain our Jing. As the pail full of postnatal Jing gets full, it can then spill into the prenatal Jing, and this is our purest, most important Jing. Now, some people are born with kind of inadequate levels of Jing. This is not a death sentence. Some of the most famous Qigong healers and Tai Chi healers throughout history have, in early childhood, they've struggled with having poor Jing. They were sick a lot, maybe dying of tuberculosis. But through the practices of Qi cultivation and Qi conservation, they were able to restore their levels of postnatal Jing, which then affects their prenatal Jing for a very long, purposeful, healthy, and happy life. So I don't want this to get too confusing. So on the blog post that I did on this, I really detail this. It's about 3 pages long, so it's pretty lengthy and really goes into detail. But just remember that when we're talking about Jing, we're talking about the true essence of who we are. We're not really talking about a bank account of vitality. That's your yuan qi. So when you're thinking about this and you're thinking about herbs and things like that, you want to be finding herbs that actually address Jing and not just yuan qi. But of course, if you're looking for yuan qi, then find those herbs, because they're different herbs and they have different purposes. We of course have a Jing formula, and that Jing formula is addressing several different areas of yuan qi and Jing at the same time. Now, because a lot of people's Jing starts to get depleted and the yuan qi starts to get depleted because they're using too much of it, and this builds up kind of a state of excess heat in the body, and a lot of these herbs are hot. So what we've done is we've combined the herbs with some cooling Jing and yuan qi tonics, along with some more warming ones, so that they're able to clear out that heat that's in the body, while also building up that vital energy, but also the essence, the energy of your essence that's within you. So find that blog post at our blog, which you can get to just from rawforestfoods.com, and then up where it says My Account and Home, you can find a little link that goes to the blog, and you'll see the blog post there. If you have any questions about this, just leave a comment on the blog or shoot us an email or leave a comment here on YouTube, and we're more than happy to explain this, even if it means writing another blog post, shooting another video, because it's an important concept and a lot of people are getting it wrong.